fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well, greetings, young Jedi. Hello there.
What's up, everyone? Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are going to be ranking all of the Black Series figures from the Clone Wars. Now, I'm only going to be doing characters that are specifically labeled as being from the Clone Wars. I gotta draw some lines somewhere. So, unfortunately, characters like Phase 1 Captain Rex, who came out in 2025, he's from the flashbacks in the Ahsoka series. He's in the Ahsoka packaging. So I elected not to put him on this list. I used the same logic in that review for the 2-pack with the Phase 1 Lieutenant and 332nd clone. I put those on that list, even though they're very much, Clone Wars clones. So those aren't going to be on this list. It's kind of just helped me keep it to a manageable number of figures because there's a lot of characters that are in the movies, wearing a costume, very much adjacent to what they wear in the Clone Wars, So it's like, do I put Luminara on the list or not? Well, she was in like 3 episodes, so maybe not. I ended up coming down to 29 figures that are specifically labeled Clone Wars, or in one of them's case, the Mace Windu with the gauntlets from the Clones of the Republic 2-pack. However, the purple 187th Trooper isn't from anything. It's from an old Hasbro Battle Pack, so I did not put the purple 187th on the list, but the Clone Wars Mace Windu with the gauntlets is from the Clone Wars. This is also The Clone Wars list, as in the 2008 animated series and film, so this is not going to feature '03 Clone Wars figures. There's only like 5 of those in the line, but they did not get put on this list. The other thing that I elected to do is characters like Cad Bane. He has a Comic-Con pack and then a standard pack, the only difference being the inclusion of a Todo 360 micro figure. I elected to just merge them into one singular listing because adding or removing Todo did not affect Cad Bane's standing in any way. I did the same thing with Captain Rex, Phase 2 Rex. He came out as a HasCon set and then got a standard release, and the figures were identical other than photoreal. But it's an old clone body, so he's not very high on the list to begin with. So I just wanted to explain some thought process before we get into it. Anyways, we have 29 figures to get through. This video is going to be a long one, so keep an eye out, and let's get into it. In spot number 29 is the Walgreens exclusive 187th Legion Clone Trooper. This is on the 2020 Clone Trooper sculpt, and I am not a hater of that sculpt. I know a lot of people despise it. I admit that there are things that could be better. I think the 23 sculpt is better. However, this Clone Trooper had that weird thing going on where the plastic wasn't white. It was kind of like cream beige right out of the box. It also just kind of has that element of like, who asked for this, Not trying to tear it apart. It's a Legion that we see in Season 7 of the Clone Wars for about 20 seconds. It's just not a great big screen presence. I guess I'm happy that they're making some obscure stuff, but there's a lot of Legions I'd like to see refreshed on newer body molds way more. In spot number 28 is the also Walgreens exclusive 212th Clone Trooper. This is on the 2020 sculpt, and that's not the fatal flaw here. It doesn't have the black brow painted on the helmet. It makes it look very animated when the Black Series is all about adapting the animated styles into a realistic look. If it had that black brow painted on it, I honestly really would have ranked it a lot higher. I honestly would like to see them do a fresh attempt on the 2023 sculpt at this point. In spot number 27 is the Mandalorian Loyalist. This was a Walmart exclusive shortly after Season 7 came out, and it really suffers from featuring a lot of reuse from the Black Series Jango Fett figure. Jango Fett is, in my opinion, the worst figure in the entire Black Series line, and it just really sucks that they reused him so many times for Clone Wars Mandos. He really struggles to stand straight up. He's hard to get in a good pose. They objectively painted him nice, but it's kind of a case of polishing a turd. So, Mando Loyalist is spot number 27 on my list. In spot number 26 is the Mandalorian Super Commando. This is here for all the same reasons the Mandalorian Loyalist is. He features an insane amount of reuse from Jango Fett. It affects his articulation, his balance, his ability to pose. He's only higher than the Loyalist because he has a slightly cooler deco, and I like the helmet with the Darth Maul horns. Given what they've been doing with Mandalorians now with this new overlay system they've been using for a lot of characters from The Mandalorian, I'd really like to see both of these clones get a redo on a body mold that has the potential to make them some of the greatest in the line. In spot number 25 is the ARC Trooper Commander Jesse, and honestly, he's not the worst, but they have that glaring issue where they gave him the complete wrong helmet, and I cannot forgive that, especially when they did it 2 times previously in the Vintage Collection, and collectors were very vocal about not liking it there, and they said, let's go 3 for 3 on this mistake. It's a mold that exists that was needed to be used. It wasn't asking for any new tooling, and Hasbro just said, nah. It's a very just frustrating case of negligence on Hasbro's part, and it really affects what should be one of the greats of the line. Unfortunately, it puts Commander Jesse in spot number 25. In spot number 24 is Aura Singh. Aura Singh, being a bounty hunter that we see a lot in the earlier seasons of the show, has a very unique design. She's from the Phantom Menace briefly, she wears an orange jumpsuit, and she has that antenna sticking out of her head. Unfortunately, just due to some things that they were doing in the line at the time, some of her articulation is very fiddly. They had these weird hip joints going on her figure that makes it awkward to rotate the legs forward and back, and just certain things about the figure look very dated after all these years. She's objectively good looking, but there's just a lot of better figures in the line than her. In spot number 23 is Anakin Skywalker, as we saw on the Retro Clone Wars card, the Target exclusive from many years ago. This figure left a lot to be desired. He reused the legs from the 2013 Anakin sculpt, which is frustrating whenever they elect to do that. The rest of the figure from the neck down objectively is fine. There's a new version in the Ahsoka series of a soft goods outfit. I don't really know which one I like more ultimately there. This figure has the fatal flaw of not looking like Hayden Christensen, though. There was a behind-the-scenes thing that came out when this figure came out, where they said, yeah, we kind of wanted to make him look like the CG model from the show. And that's stupid and dumb and stupid, because the CG model in the show is a loose interpretation of what Hayden Christensen looks like. And when you're adapting an animated character to live action that we've seen in live action movies, you need to just use the likeness of the live action actor. I despise this figure for having the wrong face on it. So that's why this Anakin is spot number 23. In spot number 22 is the Magna Guard. This is the debut of this mold in the line. It's the same mold that they use for the film ones, which I feel is fine as far as appearance. This one is a light gray version, as is accurate to what you see in the Clone Wars. The frustrating thing here is a lot of the articulation is fiddly. They made the shoulder pads removable instead of just attached, and also he's underscaled. If they just took this mold and blew it up by about 10 to 15%, made it so these guys were just slightly taller than 6 inches instead of slightly under 6 inches, the scale would work very well. But there's just some inaccuracies going on with the scaling, which makes it hard to put this figure high on the list. And with all the little frustrations it has, that's why the Magna Guard is in spot number 22. In spot number 21 is the Phase 2 Captain Rex. This could be either the red box or the HasCon exclusive one. They are interchangeable in my opinion. The photo reel does not save this figure. This is on the original Clone Trooper sculpt from 2013, which was dated right off rip, and they modified the elbows to make those slightly better, but it doesn't really fix the rest of the sculpt. My big frustration on this guy is hugely just the articulation. He's not very pleasant to pose. It's hard to get him into a lot of the poses you'd like to get him in, and I'd really like to see them redo this on the 2023 sculpt. So maybe that's something we'll see sooner, hopefully, than later. In spot number 20 is the Phase 2 Commander Wolf. This is also on that original Clone Trooper mold. However, I think Wolf is just slightly more visually interesting than Rex, so he ultimately edged him out slightly. Ultimately, I think they're basically pegged right about the same. Wolf is just fine. He looks good. Rex looks good. It's the articulation that really frustrates me. We do have a new Wolf coming in an upcoming Clones of the Republic Republic pack, but it is not out yet, so I cannot put that one on the list. Who knows where that will fall ultimately. But yeah, Commander Wolf is in spot number 20. And in spot number 19, you probably saw it coming, Phase 2 Commander Fox. Again, a Clone Wars design on that 2013 Clone Trooper sculpt. It's just very dated. The articulation is frustrating. I think of the 3 commanders from the Clone Wars that we have on that sculpt, I think that Fox is the most interesting looking. He has a lot of really unique deco. It's nice getting a Coruscant, leader here. But I would like to see him redone on the 23 sculpt as well. Arguably, Fox, Wolf, and Rex here could be interchangeable. It kind of just depends on what deco you like more. But Commander Fox, I just found to be the most visually striking of these 3 figures. That's why he's spot number 19. In spot number 18 is Ahsoka Tano in her Siege of Mandalore outfit. And the problem with this figure is, other than the torso, it's not her Siege of Mandalore outfit. Hasbro really cheaped out on this one and reused the arms and legs from the Rebels Ahsoka. And while she wears boots and gauntlets in Rebels, they are a totally different design and style. And repainting them this color just doesn't do it for me. She does have some pretty alright articulation for a figure from the time, which is mostly a 2016 figure with a new head sculpt and torso from 2020, but it's just a bit of a frustrating version. I'd really like to see them go through and give us a new Siege of Mandalore Ahsoka. I'd like them to base it on the flashback from the Ahsoka series. That way we have that live-action actress likeness to it. As is, this figure's okay, but there's just a lot of better Clone Wars figures out there. In spot number 17 is the Kamino Security Clone Trooper. This was the first clone released on the 2020 sculpt. Now, I know there was a QC issue with some of them where the helmets were a little bit warped. I'm going to pretend that I'm talking about one that doesn't have that issue, because all 3 of them that I have don't. I've seen a lot of photos. But the deco is really interesting. It's a little bit of a deep cut clone, but it's really cool. And now that we've had other figures come out that complement it, like Shaak Ti and ARC Trooper 5s, it really does feel like it has a place on the shelf. It was a bit of an outlier a few years ago, but I've really grown to like this guy as the years have gone on. In spot number 16, and I'm disgusted he's this high up the list, is Pre Vizsla. A fun and interesting character from the Clone Wars, but this figure struggles from having a lot of reuse from Jango Fett. Once more, my least favorite figure in the entire line. Pre Vizsla is only this high because he has a lot of really, really good paint apps going on. While he is a terrible action figure in all the things that typically count, like the ability to balance and the articulation, he looks really, really good. So I'm okay with putting him on a flight stand at the back of the shelf and just peeking at him every now and then. But yeah, I would very much like to see a redo of him on some modern Mando sculpts. In spot number 15 is Clone Pilot Hawk. He was on one of those Clone Wars retro cards and a Target exclusive a number of years ago, and he was a little bit of a deep cut when we found out that we were getting 4 exclusive Clone Wars figures in its Anakin, Obi-Wan, Echo, and then Hawk? What? But he was executed rather well, and he does look really nice. He has a weird Kit Bash sculpt going on, where it's kind of like the old Clone Trooper sculpt from 2013 with the modified elbows, but then they modified the torso to give him the double bald neck system, and then he has the new Clone Pilot helmet sculpt, which we've not seen used on anything else. Once he was made, I was pretty confident that we were going to be getting the yellow Pilot like immediately in the main line, and it hasn't happened yet. He's very much a deep cut, a clone that we see very briefly in like 3 episodes of the Clone Wars, one of those 3 referenced by name only, but all the same, it's a really cool addition to the line, and it just really is a nice bit of spice on that Clone Trooper shelf. In spot number 14 is ARC Trooper 5s. 5s is a pretty good figure, generally speaking. However, he has a couple of deco issues. He is missing some paint on his pauldron, and then the design on the forehead of his helmet is just really, really small, and it should be a lot larger on the, helmet. It should be, like from the edge of the visor to the edge of the visor, instead of this little center of the forehead little mark. Other than that, this ARC Trooper mold is actually pretty decent in my opinion, so other than those deco issues, I do generally like him. It's really sucky because they just reissued him, and instead of correcting those things and making it a different release, they just ran with it. I'd like to ultimately see a new Fives come out later on down the road that features the Phase 2 helmet instead of the ARC Trooper helmet, since he only wore the ARC Trooper helmet on the Citadel arc, and the Phase 2 helmet just really is what he wears for the rest of the Clone Wars after that. So maybe we'll see a revision to him somewhere down the road. In spot number 13 is the Commando Droid. Other than them really cheaping out on the deco on the sword, making it a weird milky purple plastic color, the rest of the figure, in my opinion, is pretty great. I love the deco it has. I think it has some really good articulation, and he's just really fun to pose. He's a spindly droid. He's very skinny, but he's got these big triangular feet, and as long as you just give it a little bit of attention when you're posing him, he balances rather nice. So he's a figure that I like a lot. He's one that was on my wish list for a long time, and he was worth the wait, because typically the things that are on the wait list for a long time come out more recently and therefore have the best engineering Hasbro can throw. In spot number 12 is Asajj Ventress in her Sith assassin gear, the Clone Wars movie outfit for the first 3 seasons as well. This figure's pretty good. It was one that I was really excited to get back in, I think it was 21 or 22 when she came out, and she's only very recently been outdone by another costume of her, which I haven't mentioned yet, so she's higher up the list. The articulation on this one is pretty fun. I like the mix of soft goods and rubber going on the skirt there, and she's just fun to pose. I mean, I've had a lot of fun posing this figure. She looks really good. She looks the part. Really don't have anything bad to say, which is why she's as high as she is. In spot number 11 is Mace Windu, as he appears in the Clone Wars with his forearm gauntlets. He's from the Clones of the Republic 2-pack with that not canon to anything purple 187th Legion Trooper. This Mace Windu is the definitive Mace Windu for how he looks in the Clone Wars. I don't believe Mace ever had a different costume throughout the entire series, except for in Season 7 when they finally just took the gauntlets off and made him the Revenge of the Sith Mace Windu. This figure is basically the Mace Windu we've had in the line for a few years. The legs are a little bit dated. They have the double pinned articulation. But he looks good. He has a nice Samuel Jackson likeness, and he is generally easy to pose, so I don't really have anything bad to say about this one. He's a pretty good figure, all said. In spot number 10 is ARC Trooper Echo from that Target exclusive wave of retro-carded Clone Wars figures. ARC Trooper Echo, to the best of my knowledge, does not feature any issues on his decoing. So if he does, let me know in the comments below. But he generally won out as far as our Clone Wars ARC Troopers do. He looks really good. He looks the part. Like I said, I like the articulation on the ARC Trooper molds. He looks exactly like I would want an ARC Trooper Echo to look. I don't have one bad thing to say about this figure. I'm really happy to have him. I'm glad I was able to track him down all those years ago. He was a little bit hard to get, and that's really all I gotta say. I'm happy with this one, and I think you are too if you have him in your collection. In spot number 9 is the 332nd Legion Trooper. It's on the 2020 sculpt and was a Walmart exclusive back in the day and a little hard to get a hold of, but I am really happy with how this guy turned out. The 2020 sculpt isn't the worst, and I generally think that the Ahsoka series 332nd Trooper is better by virtue of being on the 2023 clone sculpt. But for what this was at the time it came out, it was really pretty fun. I was super amped on this guy. I ended up tracking down 6, which was like an impossible feat back in the day. I did a lot of in-store hunting, and I'm still happy with them on my shelf. I think of the 2020 sculpt clone troopers, this one might be the very best one, and I like it. That's all it really comes down to. I like it. That's why he's in spot number 9 on my Clone Wars figure ranking list. In spot number 8, a recent figure, the Jedi Temple Guard. This is another one of those characters that's been on a lot of wish lists for a long time, and again, he was worth the wait because Hasbro perfected the art of the Black Series figure. I have nothing bad to say about this figure. His sculpt is phenomenal. I love the deco. He is fun to pose. That double-bladed yellow lightsaber stands out on the shelf just as a very good-looking figure, one that I'm really happy to have in the collection. I have nothing bad to say about the Temple Guard. I've glazed him for a bit, so we're going to move on, but he's a very worthy number 8 on my list. In spot number 7 is Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. I am talking about the retro-carded one, which came out as that Target exclusive wave a couple of years back. However, he was recently reissued in the Clones of the Republic 2-pack with the spot number 28 to 12th Clone Trooper, so maybe that's how you got this guy. But this Obi-Wan is a really good figure. He features some parts that are reused from the 2020 Clone Trooper sculpt, being the lower legs and forearms, but those have some great articulation to them. He's a very fun and posable figure, and I love the Ewan McGregor likeness on this guy. What a great action figure. I genuinely have not one bad thing to say about him. Anytime that I want to have a fun time posing an Obi-Wan figure, he's one of the ones that I grab off the shelf, because he just lands every pose you want to put him in. In spot number 6 is the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. This Clone Trooper is on the 2023 sculpt. It was one of the first figures we got on that sculpt, and he's the Phase 2 clone as seen from Seasons 4 onwards in the show. It is just the plain white Clone Trooper. It's the 2023 sculpt, and we've talked about that sculpt a lot on the channel. I think it is the superior Clone Trooper sculpt of the line so far. I really don't have anything bad to say on this guy. He looks good. He poses even better. It's a white Phase 2 Clone Trooper. What more can you ask for? Ultimately, I just have nothing bad to say about this guy, and I find him rather army buildable, so I needed to put him high on the list because I think he's a figure that everyone should have. In spot number 5 is Ahsoka Tano and her Padawan gear from seasons 3 to 5 of the Clone Wars. Everything that was wrong with the Mandalore Ahsoka is right here. She's a complete new sculpt from head to toe. She's very posable. She's very accurate to what we see in the show. She's one of the Jedi figures that they started to do recently that features a left hand that's kind of gesturing while holding the lightsaber, so it could be a Force hand or it could just be a battle hand. Any pose you want to put her in, she nails it. I mean, this figure, I just have nothing bad to say. She looks exactly like what you want her to look like, being from the Clone Wars. So, a perfect figure, recently reissued. If you don't have her in your collection, I want you to go pick her up today, because she's a must-have on your Clone Wars shelf. I've spoken. In spot number 4 is Asajj Ventress in her Bounty Hunter getup. Now, there might be some recency bias going on here, since I reviewed her just the other day, but I genuinely think this figure is rather excellent. There is no reuse going on this figure that I can tell of whatsoever. The likeness on this figure is absolutely insane. Whatever photos you have seen online, you need to go and grab one off the shelf at your local store and just look at it. The likeness on this figure is bonkers, and she is so fun to pose. She features all the modern articulation you would expect from a figure in 2026. Just a beautifully well done figure. I say it in the review. She's a character that, like, you would never think to put on the wish list. You know, it's like Ventress in her Bounty Hunter getup from 2 episodes later on in the Clone Wars. Okay, I guess. But she came out really, really good, and I think that she would be a good addition to anyone's Clone Wars shelf. In spot number 3 is the Deluxe from 2025 Savage Opress. Savage is an excellent figure. He is based on the seasons 3 and 4 appearance of Savage. He comes with his battle axe, he comes with his double-bladed lightsaber. You can have him wielding whichever one you think fits him better. And he has some phenomenal articulation. There's some great heft going on. The figure's just bulky, it has a bit of weight, but the articulation is just stellar. There's nothing bad to be said about this. He's one of the only deluxe figures I've ever seen not hit deep discount, which is nuts. The collectors showed up for this one. I also don't think they made as many of him as they have with some of these other deluxe figures, because I don't think I've ever even seen him on the shelves at like Walmart or Target. Was he fan channel? I might be wrong there. But Deluxe Savage Opress, excellent, excellent figure. Incredibly worthy of spot number 3 on this list. In spot number 2 is Darth Maul, as he appears in the Clone Wars seasons 5 through 7. He's based on the season 7 arc because he comes with the double-bladed lightsaber, but the outfit and everything else is from series 5 onwards. This Darth Maul is excellent. I love the head sculpt on it. The double-bladed lightsaber is so fun. You can split it in half, and then you can give him the single-bladed Phantom Menace half, so you can make him a little bit more of a Series 5 look. The articulation on the robotic legs is just stupid good. I really have nothing bad to say about this figure. There have been a lot of times where I've just wanted to pose a figure, and I'll grab him off the shelf because the articulation is just nutty. And anything you put him in, he looks great doing. You can get him in one-legged running poses, swinging the saber, dueling people. Just a great action figure. I have nothing bad to say whatsoever. I think he is a mandatory for the shelf, even if you're not that into the Clone Wars. In spot number 1, I'm doing it again. Cad Bane. I think Cad Bane from the Clone Wars was done incredibly well. His articulation is stupid good. The deco on him is insane. He has some very subtle weathering going on his jacket and hat. The sculpt, the articulation, the likeness, anything that you could want from a Cad Bane, this guy pulls off. This is a dual spot because I'm talking both the single pack and the Comic-Con exclusive that comes with Toto 360. Toto 360 being in the box or not does not affect the value of this enough to knock it out of the first place, in my opinion. So, whichever one you have, or if you have both, I think Cad Bane, in my opinion, is a perfectly done figure. He's a few years old, and he doesn't look it. It's a great, great figure. A perfect one to have on the shelf. And that's it for my ranking the Clone Wars figures video. So, what do you think? Am I anywhere near the mark here? Am I completely off my rocker? What's your favorite figure from the Clone Wars lineup? Fire off down in the comments below. I would love to talk to y'all about it. Be chill, be cool, but let's have a fun action figure conversation. Thank you all for hanging out with me and listening to me yap about my opinions on toys. I know this video certainly has to be a bit longer, seeing how there's 29 figures on it, and most of those clips were just shy of a minute long. I bet it's 25 minutes long. Am I right or not? I'm not going to edit it out. This is a genuine guess here at the end. So, I'm going to go work on some other videos now. Thank you all for your time and hanging out with me. May the Force be with each and every single one of you, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye!